What if you knew you only had 7 days to live? What would you do? Who would you be? That's the question that I asked myself, and I decided to turn that into a challenge. So last week, that's what I did. 7 days where I was living my day with the starting point of I only have 7 days to live. And the point was to see how that would change my behavior, my relationships, how I spend my time, because that's the thing that's running out every day for everybody. We don't know when that moment is going to come. And we're taking too much time for granted, wasting time doing things that are completely pointless. So I put on myself this challenge of seeing how that would be different if I lived as if I only had 7 days to live. And I made videos almost every day telling you about my experience, what I realized, and I want to share it with you because there's some really cool stuff that I saw and that I'm pushing myself to apply also every day to make sure that I make the most, because one day I will only really have 7 days to live. I don't know when that week is going to be. You don't know when that week is going to be. So the point is, challenge yourself to do it and see how much better you can be if you realize that you're not here forever and you live that realization every day, making sure that every moment counts. Alright, so here's the first video, first day, that's how it went. "6:30, just woke up and I've got 7 days to live. Let's see how this is gonna be. So I came to the beach, cycled here. I've got a friend. My wife and baby are still sleeping. I've done this a few times where I come here first thing in the morning. What I normally do, what I've been doing for the last 3 months, I've been waking up and writing first thing in the morning. So that's what I'm gonna do, but I'll do it here. I normally do it on the sofa. So I've decided to do now a video that I've been wanting to do for a while now. Let's start from the beginning. I was born in this beautiful country, Portugal, in a caring and loving family. And in school, I always had this experience that it didn't feel natural to study. And that led me to not be a very good student. One of the memories that I have is having my primary teacher tell me that I was really bad at reading. And only later I realized how that affected my development as a student. But I had a thing on my side, which is I was always able to study just before the exam and still do well enough. And in that, it seems as if I learned that life is easy because you don't have to put a lot of effort to get results. After being in university for 3 months, I dropped out. I realized that was not for me because I was studying engineering and it was going to be really hard, and I saw that. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I dropped out and I decided that I wanted to make music because I found my love for making music when I was about 13, 14. I was listening to a lot of Bob Marley. I found my love for Bob at that time, maybe 12, 13. I started to play the guitar also at that age, writing songs. So within me, I really enjoyed making music. There was something that I found like a life within me when I would be singing my own songs and writing my own music. So I went to England to study music at age 19, and I was a really bad student. I was one of the least talented students in my class, and that was not very nice because when you're comparing yourself with others and they're so much better and it's like you feel like you're so far behind. That did not really motivate me a lot to study, to apply myself. So weed, I had started to smoke weed even before I went to England, but it was hash and it was not a lot. It was like when I was just friends, very occasionally. And in England, by myself, the point of smoking weed became very prominent and I became addicted to it very quickly, and that's all that I wanted to do. So this was one of the things that I faced for a long time in my life, was the point of weed and being addicted to it, and how the smoking made me feel as if everything was fine when in fact I wasn't okay at all, because my experience as a musician wasn't the best. I didn't feel I was progressing, and so all I lived for a long time was smoking weed, watching TV series, films, pornography. So all these points of distraction, it sabotaged my decision to become a musician because I was not doing that at all. I was actually depressed. It's like I didn't care. And once in a while I would write a song about how we should be getting together to change the world. But I mean, I wasn't even doing that for myself, for my own life. I wasn't changing myself. I was stuck in this experience of failure, of worthlessness, of not good enough. Eventually I managed to stop the weed, and it took me 6 years, so I smoked for 6 years. I stopped smoking weed in July 2011, and that was one of the best decisions that I've made, because from that point on, I had one less thing to hide behind. I would still hide behind entertainment, like games, TV series, films, etc., pornography. So all those experiences, all those things would give me that high, that boost of like, life is okay. But I wasn't still living as the musician that I had decided to be a few years ago. I wasn't applying myself still. And shortly after I stopped smoking weed, I did a lot of introspection, and I couldn't say that I was a musician because I was asked by this man called Bernard Pullman. He asked me, are you a musician? No, he didn't ask me. He said to me, you are not a musician. You are just doing music.
Because you are not a musician.
I what?
You are not a musician. You just do musician.
And he said you have to make a decision about yourself and your life. You have to decide who you are.
So, Joe, the decision. Who are you? And that decision you have to very clearly make. It's not just words. It is a commitment to yourself as life. To create yourself as life. Life is about a decision. Who are you?
And during that time where I was living with him, I couldn't make that decision. I couldn't say I am a musician. I couldn't decide, okay, I am this, I'm going to live this, which is really f***ed up because that's what I wanted to be. That's what I had decided to be. Yet I could not say that I was that. Like in self-honesty, I could not decide to do that, to be that. So I decided to just drop that, to just stop and not make my own music, to just drop it and focus on making money, because till that point I was dependent on my parents. I was starting to become independent, but I was still dependent on them. So I decided to stop the music and dedicate myself to making money, which is what I did. And that was really important to establish that point, because it gave me integrity. It gave me a sense of worth, because I was depending on myself. I was making my money, paying my bills. I started to feel like I was worth something, that I could do something, which is the opposite experience that I had with making music, wherein I wasn't good enough. I didn't sing well enough. My songs weren't very good. My playing wasn't very good, and the music didn't have any success. So for almost 5 years, 4.5 years, I did not give attention to my own music. I disconnected from that completely. And one day I realized that I did not want to be on my deathbed and not know what it could have been if I had applied myself within music, within deciding for real, I am a musician and I am going to live that consistently with dedication from now on. So in that moment I said to myself, I was able to say to myself, I am a musician, I am going to do this. I have all these songs written that are in the shelf, not doing anything. I'm going to record them, I'm going to put them out, because I owe it to myself to do that. I owe it to myself to see what this music thing might become if I apply myself, if I dedicate myself to make music, to really apply myself, to study the thing and to put my heart and soul into it. And that's when I started to make the songs for my second album, Higher Purpose. So in a period of 5 months I made the album, It's 19 songs that I had already written. I had the ideas for, others were done from the beginning, and I did everything. I recorded the instruments, the vocals, the back vocals. I mixed, mastered the whole thing in that period of time, which is quite amazing that I could do that. And because I was actually dedicated, you know, I would do the things that I had to do in regards to work, and then I would be in the studio in my little room and make the album. That's what I did. So for me, that was a turning point in my life where I said that I am doing this for real. Once I've made that album, at that point in my life, I was becoming pretty content with myself, and especially after having finished the album, which is, you know, all this music that I had, all these things that I wanted to create for a long time were collecting dust, and I had finally made it and put it out. Even if not many people listened to it, at least I've done it. And so being at that point where I was quite content with myself, what I was becoming and what I had done, my wife and I decided that it was time to make a baby, and we did that. And the next year we came here to Portugal. So this was in 2017 that the album was released, and in 2018 we came to Portugal. And once I came here, I made my music studio and I recorded my third album, which is called Rebirth. So what I want to say with all of this is that point of who I am, and deciding who I am, and having that as it's your engine to move yourself and your life forward. It's the anchor point that you use to live, to express, to be, to grow, to develop. It's your direction point. So for a long time in my life, looking back, I was in a really bad spot especially during while I was smoking weed, even a few years after. But the turning point was really that decision of who I am, and apply myself within that decision, to direct myself within that decision. And since then, I can say that my life really has gotten much better. So this challenge that I'm doing of I only have 7 days to live, in a way I've actually started this when I decided to become a musician, because that was the question. Like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and not know what my life could have been or would have been if I had decided to apply myself as a musician. I mean, this was one question that Bernard asked me. Are you ready to die? I was asking him, I don't know what I should write about. This is what I said to him, and he said, write about, am I ready to die? Because this point is really important. Like, if you live life in such a way that you're ready to die tomorrow, then you have life figured out. And for a long time I lived and I was not ready to die. Meaning, if I were to die while I was in that point of feeling worthless and depressed, like a failure, and not moving, if I were to die at that point, I would really regret not having applied myself, pushed for myself to be better. Because I was creating all those experiences, I was participating in it, I was the one telling myself that I was shit all that time. Whereas I could decide differently, I could apply myself, I could be better. So in a way, this challenge, for me, I have a lot of things that I'm happy about myself and the things that I've done that I'm content with, that in a way I am ready to die. Like, I don't mean that I want to die, no. I have a son, I want to see him grow, I want to be here for him. There's more music that I want to create, but like, these things are already in motion. I am already doing these things, but with this challenge I wanted to take a step further and see, okay, I have 7 days to live. What else am I putting off? In what aspects of me am I still not being the best that I can? How am I still allowing like little things like irritation and blame for my experiences, blaming other things and other people for my experiences? Like, how is my relationships going to change? Think about this. If you knew you were going to die in 7 days, when you are with your partner, with your son, with your father, with your mother, how would you be? Would you allow the relationship or the interactions to go into like being upset, being angry, being irritated, Like those are the last moments of your life. Are you gonna allow that bullshit, or are you gonna be the best that you can in that moment? You see what I mean? These little things that we allow, as if we will have time to one day solve all these issues that we have about ourselves and in relation to other people. As if it's okay to let these things go on and on and on and on and on, and then poof, you're dead. One day you look back and you regret. You didn't apply yourself, you weren't the best that you could, you ruined your relationships. You, like, this happens so much to so many people. The abuse of drugs and alcohol, people spiraling down into despair, into depression. Like, this is not the way to live. And even looking at the system as a whole, like, why do we allow so much bullshit? Why can't we just give each other what we want to have for ourselves, which is a comfortable and safe life with food, with shelter, with water, with education, with health? Why put our self-interest before the needs of everybody, the basic needs of everybody? Anyway, I don't want to get into this point, and I made the video that I wanted to make, which is tell you a little bit about my past and how I end up here doing what I'm doing now and why I am doing this. More to come.
Rebirth through the